Imagine growing up on the south edge of Edmonton in the 50s. It was an edge more than the south side in those days. The last homes bordered the Rainbow Valley neighborhood. Kids grew up running through the trees and splashing in White Mud Creek. Doug Marvin and his two brothers explored the sloughs and woods together. The trio were let loose to adventure and experience nature without any fear. The wonder of nature has stayed with Doug his whole life. Doug made a career as the provincial operations manager for Alberta Parks. In this role, he participated in preserving natural areas and developing wilderness centers. Doug took pride in bringing people and community together to experience, learn, and respect nature. As a retirement gift, Alberta Parks awarded Doug a plaque with his personal motto engraved on it that reads, "Steward of the land, steward of the experience." Doug's garden is an ode to nature and his life achievements. What a grand entrance. So through your home and now into this space.
There's a lot out here.
Yeah.
When people come to the house, they think, oh my goodness, what is this?
Yes.
Right? And there's more to discover as we go through the garden.
Oh, I can't wait to discover it with you.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about growing up
Sure. Yeah.
there?
We grew up in the south side of Edmonton in the 50s.
Yes.
And we lived in the last row of houses. Behind our house, there were sloughs, there was White Mud Creek, Rainbow Valley. We had horses. It was just such a nice area to grow up in. Mm-hmm. And so I have a brother a year older and a brother a year younger. And we were little rascals. We got into a lot of trouble.
Yes.
The neat thing is our parents were very open about the fact that we could just go out in the bush. They knew we were, somewhere, but we were together.
Yes.
And I think that helped.
So we'll take a stroll around the pond because everywhere you turn and wherever you follow the paths or listen to the sound of water, there are stories.
Yes.
Every rock has a story.
Yes.
Every tree has a name besides its botanical name.
You've been listening to me for too long.
Yes,
So,
I don't think that's possible.
I want to talk about the rocks first.
Okay.
I've always enjoyed rocks and finding different ones.
Yeah.
Most of these rocks are glacial till from the glacier that came through this Cooking Lake moraine area at the south. So a lot of these I found in farmers' fields, farmers that I knew, and I would go and get anybody that had a half ton or a trailer or anything like that and started bringing all these rocks. We brought like over 500 of these rocks to start with and piled them over there.
Yes.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Another thing about the rocks is it's like my grandchildren. I've got 8 grandchildren.
Yes.
And anytime I'm with them, I say, you know what, Isabel? You're my favorite. And then another day I'll be, oh, Taylor, do you know, you're my favorite. So when you ask me about these different rocks, I say the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I walk through the garden lots. We spend lots of time out here.
Yeah.
And if you were to say, well, what's your favorite rock? And I go, well, look at that one right there.
Yeah.
Okay? When you watch the falls, and then there's another one behind it.
Yeah.
So
today that's my favorite. I think when you love a lot of things and really love and cherish them, they're all your favorite.
Yeah. One of the things that I like about the yard is Lois and I learned so much about, we didn't know much about gardening. I took some horticulture courses at university because my brother was in agriculture.
Yes.
And I was very interested in that. She loves flowers. All of these annuals are all her doing kind of thing. And so we had date night on Friday nights and we'd go and buy a plant and come and plant it, and you know, and start to learn that that was the wrong place because there wasn't enough light or any of that kind of thing.
Did you learn a lot about each other as a couple while gardening too? Because I find that Robert and I, our conversation is spurred on by the garden, and we have to figure out how to communicate with each other because we both have ideas.
Yes, actually we get along so well. We kind of would laugh if we made mistakes. Or we didn't have any trouble saying, I don't like that there, you know, I'd like you to move that, right? So no, that was a good situation.
Nice. Gardens have a way of bringing people and community together. Doug's backyard took months to develop and complete. Friends and family would show up with a shovel to help dig. Gifts of rocks and boulders would be dropped off and hauled into place to form the bed of the creek. Every rock holds a memory or a story of someone or somewhere, making this garden an extra sentimental and special place to explore. The rocks are not the only objects storing memories. Trees are named after members in Doug's and Lois's family. Each tree is a reflection of someone's personality he holds dear. Doug refers to the Thunderchild crabapple tree as Shannon and the Amur cherry tree as Jacqueline, after both of his daughters. Shannon is Doug's Thunderchild, and the Amur cherry's bark reminds him of Jacqueline's beauty.
It takes a community to work for months, you know. People would come and bring a shovel and help me dig and, you know, say, hey, I've got some rocks over there or anything like that. I've got a rock over there. I was walking through a friend's field, and there was this little tiny opening of the rock coming out of the ground. And I said, that looks pretty good. And he said, yeah, I kind of bump my hay machine on it every time. So he said, someday I need to dig it out. When I got home, he'd left a message on my phone, and he said, come and get your rock, I dug it out for you. So that's Ed's rock over there.
That's Ed's rock. We'll have to get a good close-up of Ed's rock.
When we're sitting here, you get a completely different view of there. And what we liked about this spot is that even in the spring, it's the warmest spot in the yard because the sun is setting over the house. And so it's a wonderful spot.
So don't you, I know that a lot of people here, they're tearing down the bungalows, but they're missing the point of having trees that canopy the home, and like this garden surrounds the home and that light that comes in. So you get to enjoy the sunshine from morning, afternoon, and right into the evening. So it's architecture. It's really important to think about those peaks and maybe keeping things a little bit lower to the ground.
When I go and talk with people, because I help people with their yard a bit, I ask them, where are you going to sit? And we've got 4 sitting spots in the yard. And I think that it's important to sort of look at a shady spot, a sunny spot, a spot over there where the sound of the creek is to read a book by, you know, that kind of thing.
Really taking a moment to appreciate everything that there is.
Okay, let's keep going on our journey.
Okay. Doug values his family and grandchildren. The garden acts as a nearby nature learning space for his grandchildren to experience. A safe haven where little hands can touch the earth, feel the trees, listen to the water, and turn over stones while discovering nature. The children understand that the garden is a sanctuary to be enjoyed and treated with love and respect. It is wonderful to see children slowly and quietly absorbing the beauty and awe of nature. It is a gentle learning experience. The garden was not created to entertain or distract children, but to capture their imaginations and ignite a connection with soil, rocks, water, trees, plants, and life.
So when Isabel was born, one of my grandchildren, again, I'm looking at this place as nearby nature, so I'm thinking, I'll bring the grandkids here, right from when they were babies, and I would walk around the yard and we would touch the bark. We would touch this and that kind of thing. And it was so fun. And she was about a year old, that winter at Christmas time, her mother put up a Christmas tree, and it was a fake tree.
Yes.
And Isabel toddled up to it like that, and she goes like this, and she just went, "What?"
Yeah.
She knew that it wasn't alive.
Yes.
And to me, that just, I was so joyful because,
Yes.
you know, I didn't teach her that.
Yes.
You know, I had her discover that.
Yes.
And so that's pretty cool.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've had that chat too, where sometimes, you know, like, because even in my childhood, we always had little woods and stuff surrounding the farm. And my brother and my sister and I, part of our joy was just to go into the tree line.
Yes.
And you never knew what was going to happen or
Yes.
what could be lurking around the corner.
Yeah.
Even if it was just your imagination
Yeah.
taking you there.
Yeah.
Whereas now, sometimes they're a little bit afraid to go into the woods.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah.
you're kind of breaking down that barrier.
Yes.
You're creating these spaces for children to go experience,
Yes.
eradicate the feel,
Yeah.
and get back to nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And
And
just-
you've done this for your family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do is,
Okay.
you've just got home, you're
Yep.
tired,
Yep.
you want to relax a bit.
Yes.
I would like you to sit on my 200-year-old teak root bench.
Okay, are we going to sit together or do I just have to?
No,
Okay.
I want you to discover that, okay?
Yeah.
Now I would like you to close your eyes
Okay.
and just tell me what you hear. And I'm going to give you a few minutes to
Okay.
sort of. Where are you now?
I'm at a mountain stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like a little waterfall coming through. And I can hear the little bit of the flow and fall
Yes.
over to this side.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very lovely.
And it's cooler
Yeah.
by the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
Yeah.
So take a moment.
Yeah. So this is
Lovely.
again favorites, right?
Yeah.
If I'm ever sort of jacked up a bit,
Yeah.
I like to come and I sit here
Yeah.
and just look back at this,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. Okay.
Okay.
So I want to go discover that.
Okay.
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 But we're going to go all the way
The
around.
other way. Yes,
Yes.
because there's two different ways.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go that way
Okay.
first. I will let you lead. We're going to the gate. These are gorgeous. Is this a rudbeckia? I believe these are rudbeckias. Or is
no.
that heliopsis? I always
Yeah,
mix those up.
heliopsis,
This is
yeah.
a heliopsis, the
Yeah.
false sunflower.
False sunflower. Yeah.
And this will stay all the way up until like almost fall, will it not?
Till Halloween.
Till Halloween.
Yeah. And when it gets fully into bloom, because you can see here,
Yeah.
there'll be 100 blooms on this.
Yes.
And it'll go till Halloween.
Yeah.
It's
Do you know
it's
what
one
I
of my
love?
favorites.
Okay. Doug's childhood adventures felt free, fun, alive, and healthy. The joy of exploring the outdoors as a youth became a part of Doug's spirit, and his passion for conserving and protecting nature grew into an amazing lifetime career. Recognizing what we are exposed to as children often informs who we are and the decisions we make as adults. Your Simisafuga, your bug bane is unbelievable. This is gorgeous. And how is this handling the heat? Is it okay?
Fine. It's fine.
So because we have this canopy all around us,
Yeah.
do you think that's helping get us through this? Like it is 33 above.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everything here is lush and beautiful. And I
Yes.
think that's because
yeah.
there's mature trees
Yeah.
everywhere, right?
Well, and look over there.
Yes.
The false raspberry.
Yes.
It doesn't really get any sun at all.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about gardening is
Yep.
that every one of these was, hey, bring it home. It's a little pot.
Yeah.
And so you don't think, well, this guy's going to be a giant. You don't think that's going to be a forest of beautiful pink flowers that look like the Alberta rose, right?
Yes.
And so it's really neat. And you don't you don't think that this hosta is ever going to be that big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doug's garden is a feast for the eyes. Around every bend, there are beautiful perennial combinations, many that took on a life of their own, surpassed growing expectations, and pop up as happy surprises each spring. As we walked and talked about the garden, Doug was excited to relay that each perennial was a miracle. They start off as a small specimen in a pot, and then boom, they transform into these lush, giant perennial plants. It is wonderful to see the sense of awe Doug has for life in his garden. As we toured the backyard, I learned that every section had a significant meaning or a spot to relax and reflect.
Yes. So those are Japanese letters that say love and respect.
Okay.
And it's the kids understand that because they come here and they're not on a sugar high or anything like that. They're looking around, they're touching things. I'm hiding the gnome and so they get the whole love and respect thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what? This isn't, you know, in a lot of backyards they'll have the trampoline and the swing set and all these kind of distractions where you're like, boot the kid outside, away you go. And so they're like, oh, I need that little piece of lawn, or I need that for my kids. And I feel like you can slow kids down by showing them an appreciation for gardening and nature too. So this is an example of that. When they come here, they slow down, they explore, they see things. It's just as beneficial as a trampoline.
Yes.
And maybe the neighbor down the road has a trampoline.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
there's
no shortage of that kind of stuff.
Right?
Yeah. So when you're here, it's a different spot.
Yes.
You know.
This is lovely. This is entirely, well, it's not entirely different. It's still got that same sort of feel.
Yes.
But it's definitely, it's more
calmer.
It's calmer, but it's where the other one spoke of like garden and nature. This still has it, but it also speaks a little bit more about design.
Yes. That's right.
Okay.
So design. This is you know, the boardwalk. Very special, you know, Japanese feature where you're able to walk over a lily pond like you would in nature and that kind of stuff. And you can get through a wet area because they've got raised walkways so that you're not trotting through there and disturbing the ground and that type of thing.
Yes. Oh, and you've created a lot of walkways.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
the other thing you can feel too is it's cooler here.
Yes.
Right?
On the side of the miniature mountain where the creek begins, a monument reads, "Steward of the land, steward of the experience." These are Doug's words he held himself to as a provincial operations manager for Alberta Parks. Doug shared this belief with his team so each member could recognize the significant roles they were all playing in protecting and sharing the love for the land and nature.
So one of the things that the parks people were having trouble with is understanding something that kept them together in terms of who are we? And I said, we're stewards of the land and we're stewards of the experience. So it's important for us to be able to look after the land, whether you're a conservation officer, an interpreter, a maintenance service worker, any of that kind of thing. They were connected to the land. That's why they loved their job, working outdoors and that kind of stuff. But they never really thought about the fact that that's the stewardship of the land, and then other components were stewardship of the experience.
Yes.
So I was very proud of that.
Yes.
And it was a really fun thing to do. And of course, as we've talked, very much a part of my work that didn't feel like going to work. Because I was able to work with operations throughout the whole province.
Well, and you made a difference doing the things you
I
loved.
think I did. You know what?
And I think they think you did.
Well, or they wouldn't have given that to me.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
A garden represents the circle of life. Each spring it comes alive, each summer plants grow, each fall they sleep, and beneath the snow in the winter they stay dormant or fade away. After a long cold winter, it makes Doug happy to admire his larch, sporting soft green bristles, the thunderchild exploding into blossom, and the amur maple shining in the sun.
Okay, Doug, so we've listened to some really, really wonderful stories. So what, if you could narrow it down in a few sentences, what does gardening and this garden mean to you?
That's a really easy thing for me to answer. And the way I want to talk about that is to point about that whole area right there. In the fall, I'm out here with a toque and my bread knife and I'm cutting it all down. That goes right to the dirt.
Yes.
You wouldn't realize that there is a plant left in that whole area. And then we go through this harsh winter where we still have some areas that are nice just because of the pathways and stuff like that. But I wake up each morning and I think, okay, I got to go check to see if that hosta has made it again.
Yes.
What about the pieweed? The pieweed it's always the latest to come up.
Yeah.
And I think, I'll say to Lois, I don't know whether the pieweed made it or not. So to me, it's like a birth every spring of things to go on.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too is that it teaches, taught there.
There you go.
It taught me a lot of patience to be able to say, when I put that there and I put that there was two plants, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And now when I see it, I think, wow, it's a mature garden, right? So it's humbling and it's something that I can do every day as much as I want or as little as I want. And the fruits of the labor and that kind of stuff are great. And it's a challenge sometimes because you've got to take something out or it gets too leggy or whatever. So it's a big part of my life. Even though in the winter it's not particularly, but in that spring I want to,
I sometimes find for me that, so for example, when I'm wandering down back alleys and I see a raspberry bush planted by the little fence, I can imagine the woman who planted those raspberries. And when I go through and I check out yards or while I'm strolling, I can imagine the artist or the person behind those gardens. And so when I come in here, even if you weren't here, I feel like I could almost imagine you. They are truly a metaphor almost for the person. There is an artist, this is your palette, and you've created something beautiful to share. So the name of the series is Garden Stories, and you were one of the first persons that just automatically came to my mind because there's so many stories surrounding your garden, and I feel it's like a full circle. The garden is built in a circle. We can travel around in a circle, and I feel like it is a reflection of your life that started from childhood, and now it's it's just this continuing beautiful story. Do you want to just sort of elaborate quickly on how you feel about that?
Yeah, again, that's an easy thing for me to answer. I think stories are really important. Every culture has, value in stories that they pass down. My children, my grandchildren, they know all of the stories. I talk too much, whatever. But the thing is when we get together, they talk about that. Remember when, And so again, Isabel, she's very close to me, and so they'll carry those stories on. When I'm not here anymore, and whoever's looking after it, the kids will remember the stories because it's a part of who they are growing up.
It's embedded.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's absolutely beautiful. Doug, thank you so much for having me. I have loved our journey through the garden together. Can I have a hug?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. So special.
I really enjoy having your company here.
Thank you.
And again, I think that we should have a cocktail.
I totally agree.
Okay.
Let's do it.
After filming, Doug and I sat and enjoyed a cocktail. It was nice to tour and learn about the creek and the garden. It was especially nice to sit, relax, catch up, and enjoy the whole experience. In episode 5, we head east, and then east, and even more east of Edmonton, until we reach just outside of the town of Tofield in Beaver County, Alberta. Marigold Meadows is a small but growing homestead run by Allison and her husband Jeff. Allison shares her experiences on learning how to grow food organically and sustainably for her family and local community. Allison shares some of the challenges and surprises nature has thrown the young farmers' way, as well as the perks and benefits of living rurally.